have no interest in degenerate, pointless sex, and I have no interest in making a spectacle of myself or even just involving myself in anything which I deem to be overall haram and pointless. It's just not something I'd be interested in. There's not a single amount of money on the planet you could pay me to undertake. So
you were very polite. I'm not going to be so polite. I thought he was an absolute degenerate. And I mean that the idea of having a woman making the vows that you make in marriage and literally offering her body as he did to you was a form of degeneracy. And you were being very nice and measured. And I think that for that moment, that was the best thing that you possibly could have done because she looked quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
Lena, I think is her name.
Yeah.
But how do you reconcile that now, right? You're in a circumstance like this. You're being polite. You did say I'm uncomfortable. You did say that I would never do this. And I think that was really important for you to say. But you're not the same person. I mean, how did you?
Yeah.
Even reflecting on it.
Yeah.
It's so disgusting. He offered you his wife.
It is pretty disgusting. And it's also pretty misogynistic because he didn't ask her. He
No.
offered her. I felt sorry for her, so I was very measured with my conversation with them because I felt sorry for her. I could tell she was nervous. She was swinging on the chair back and forth. She didn't want to be there. She felt extremely nervous. And I think that only a coward would berate a very nervous, very scared woman, even if she did something which I personally disagree with, even if I think Adam is personally, he doesn't align with my morals. Because she was so nervous and because she was so almost afraid she looked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she expected me to go at her hard. So I just felt sorry doing it. I just didn't, I couldn't find, maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, but I think she knows what I think and I think she knows what the world thinks. And I think if I go at her too hard, it's just going to break her. And I don't really like the idea of her, turning off the camera and bawling her eyes out. I think that God will teach her the lessons she needs to learn from her experience, both positive and negative. And I think that's God's job to do and not necessarily mine. But yeah, it was certainly uncomfortable and it shows how degenerate the world is becoming. And pornography.
Did you hear that? Candace Owens and Andrew Tate, they have great sympathy for a woman who's vulnerable and being exploited. Okay, they have real sympathy for this woman. I'm just wondering though, why then do you not have sympathy for these women?
Run out my ideas. That's right, lock the door, you knew I was going to beat the out of you. If you behaved, I wouldn't have to hit you, would I? You don't. Get out. You can't stay in there forever.
Melissa's 28, Vivian's 21.
Vivian's 21. And at this point, he's been her girlfriend for 6 years. So you do the math. It means that they met when she was 15 years old.
You didn't like that I was thinking I can do whatever I want to. That's what it is. I'm the smartest person on this planet.
That's a voice recording controversial influencer Andrew Tate, a woman in 2015. That audio, along with disturbing messages reading, quote, "I loved raping you," are now coming to light as Tate faces sex trafficking charges overseas. Vice World News published the messages and voice notes allegedly made by Tate. We want to warn you, they may be disturbing to some.
But let's listen.
Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it.
Remember that?
I loved how much you hated it. Turned me on. Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit?
I think I'd be offended if you strangled me a little bit. Now, keep in mind, some people like that.
And her believing she needs you. And this is extremely important. Because at the beginning, she will need you. But then she won't need you. But you have to keep that fallacy, keep that dream alive. You can go, well, I don't know the account. I don't have the password to the account. I've never set it up before. I don't know how the banking works. I don't have any of my guys' phone numbers. I have nothing. And that's why they don't want to leave. Because they're like, oh, well, he has everything. I need him. I have to stay with him. He has everything. It's important. I'm telling you, it's a very important element. Anyway, so tax is another important element to keep control of the girl. You have to fuck the girls. You cannot do a business relationship with a female, and I'll tell you why. Women have sex with somebody. If they're not fucking you, they're fucking somebody else. Now, a woman's always going to be the most loyal to the guy she's fucking, as opposed to anyone else for any other reason. If you have a girl work for you and you say, look, We're going to be business partners, we're going to make money. Here's your cut, here's my cut, we're going to work together, blah, 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 blah. Here's a fucking, I've had dudes, I've known loads of guys who've like tried to do a contract with a girl, tried to sit there and talk common sense to a girl. When's the last time talking common sense to a girl has ever worked? Ever. If you're not fucking the girl, she is fucking someone else. And that other person she's fucking is going to have the control over her mind.
Again, control. Control her through money, control her through information, control her through manipulation, control her through sex.
As opposed to you.
Do you know what girls are more scared of than losing a man they like? They're more scared of having the man they like, but he doesn't like her anymore. So what will happen if I put a girl in those kind of scenarios and she doesn't act right or doesn't make the right choice? What I will do, instead of actually getting rid of her, I'll keep fucking her, but I'll fuck her different. So instead of, there's no kissing anymore. You understand? You understand?
He's not doing that thing anymore.
She's gonna feel it different.
Yeah.
And afterwards, she's gonna be like, "You don't love me anymore, do you?"
Where's this going?
You've threatened intimacy.
Yeah.
You've threatened intimacy.
And she's gonna get. It's no longer intimate on any level. She got fucked, and then afterwards, she'll be like trying to give me a hug. I'll be like, "Oh wait, I gotta go out." And I'm going to change on such a small level that will hurt her more than even losing you. The reason guys can't do that is because if they fuck a bitch again, they fall back in love like a pussy. I won't do that. Sex as a man is a weapon you need to use. You have to deny it. You have to give it. You got to give it good. Yep. You got to give it bad. You got to use it right. And when I say there's been scenarios where a girl hasn't acted quite right over something small, not a big transgression like cheating, then I continue to see her, but my demeanor towards her changed. And my demeanor towards her didn't change much in day-to-day life, right? But it changed when we had sex. And she smelt it and she could feel it. And it hurt her bad. And she got her ass in line fast. He used to kiss me. He used to hug me afterwards. These small things. You go from all that nice shit to just fucking her like she's, but not in a good way like she's nothing. In a bad way like she's nothing. The real G's know what I'm saying here. There's a difference. Yeah, there's a difference.
And you'll speak to this about it's because in that moment you have her in her most vulnerable place.
That's right. That's right.
That's
women are most programmable. Because all women are programmed, and I want to say this, maybe I'll be a misogynist now, man. That's basically where the programming comes from as a whole. So all women are programmed on some level. And I think with especially during sex, that's when women are most programmable because they're most vulnerable. Like if you get a bitch and she's just about to come and you start saying in her face, "I'm going to cheat on you fucking slut." And she comes while you say you're going to cheat. She's going to end up getting horny next time you cheat. I know it sounds crazy. There's ways you can fuck her like she doesn't mean anything in a way that she enjoys, and ways you can fuck her like she doesn't mean anything in a way she doesn't enjoy. The G's of the game know exactly what I'm talking about. Dick, bro. And you can do that gradually over time. If she ain't acting right, you can change the way you fuck a bitch to make her start to get insecure about he doesn't actually care, he doesn't actually like me. And that will shock them. You have moves you can make, but you gotta be perspicacious.
I find it interesting that they sit here and claim to feel sorry for this woman being exploited when like Andrew Tate has like admitted like deliberately exploiting vulnerable women and conning them and manipulating them in the past. And it's funny that he can do that and then like put on this pretense of like sympathizing with another woman, and that like somebody like Candace Owens will overlook the stuff that Andrew Tate has done and then talk about how another man treating his wife badly is wrong. Okay, like why one rule for one guy and a different rule for another? Okay, now they kind of talk about like the stuff that like Andrew Tate has done in the past, like, oh well, it's irrelevant because it was, you know, a long time ago, and a lot of the video footage that people are using are old like YouTube videos, like because it's in the past, like it shouldn't matter, all right, like it's irrelevant, like it should be forgotten. Okay. And, well, don't get me wrong, I don't think that, like, people, you know, should always feel terrible about, like, mistakes they've made in the past, and, like, particularly, like, if somebody like Andrew Tate didn't have, like, the best upbringing, like, somebody going down the road of, like, getting into illegal stuff and all that, I don't think that would necessarily make somebody an evil person, okay, but there's certain things that are kind of, like, unforgivable, you know, like, I mean, people can go off the rails, yeah, but when we're talking about like grooming teenagers and you're talking about sexual abuse. He's been accused of R-wording women. Now, that hasn't been proven, but, you know, he did send a text message to one of the women that accused him saying, like, oh, I loved rape you. Okay, and we have heard video footage. So, like, he has been abusive, and we know that, okay, and they talk about, like, oh, what, this is in the past, so it should just be, you know, all forgotten, okay. So, like, I'm thinking, well, can we do the same with the genders reversed then? Like, if a woman totally destroys a man in the divorce courts, she takes him for everything he has, makes false allegations against him, stops him from seeing the children, and leaves him broken and suicidal and all that, can we say, like, yeah, but it was in the past? You know, this woman, you know, who hasn't done bad things in the past? Just like, yeah, this woman, she was a bit of a psychopath back then, but now she's a different person. She has empathy for vulnerable men now. She feels sorry for them now. It's like, would you just believe her if she'd, like, done bad stuff like that? It's like, no, I don't think so. Okay, there's certain things that are sort of, like, beyond, like, just forgiving and forgetting about, okay? And Candace Owens in the interview then goes on to later victim blame women that fell for the lover boy method is what they're calling it, which is basically when Andrew Tate just manipulates women into doing the cam girl work. Okay, she, you know, victim blames and talks about how, like, well, these women chose to do it, and they always do this, like, on the right and in the red pill community, they always do this thing where they keep going on and on and on about how women should be accountable for their choices and we should stop treating women like children. But, well, some of the girls that he groomed, they were like 15 years old, so they are technically children, okay? So is it okay if we treat children like they are children? Is that okay with you lot? Okay? Because it's like, you'll hold, like, a teenage girl more accountable than, like, a 30-something-year-old man, okay? It's like, you know, men are accountable for what they do as well, because a lot of the time in the red pill, when they talk about holding women accountable, they seem to think that that means that you're meant to hold men less accountable or something, like it's a tug of war or something. Like, to hold women more accountable, you have to take more accountability off of men or something, when I think, well, no, like, everybody is accountable for what they do, okay? I just thought it's kind of, like, pretty ridiculous. Those two sat here being like, I always have such sympathy for this poor woman being all vulnerable and all that. It's like, yeah, we know that that's just not true. Okay, so that's all I got to say about that. Thank you for listening.
Same thing. I think, well, first and foremost, I think, and I speak out on this, women are not desirable right now. Everyone's a Kim Kardashian clone. I asked you earlier, what don't men want? And you said promiscuity. Well, that seems about the only thing that's being offered right now. So, in closing, other than the fact that we've agreed that you're going to get married in the next 5 years.
Sure. I get 4 wives.
No, not 4 wives, just one monogamous relationship.
Okay.
And I think with especially during sex, that's when women are most programmable because they're most vulnerable. Like, if you get a bitch and she's just about to come and you start saying in her face, I'm going to cheat on you, you fucking slut. And she comes while you say you're going to cheat. She's going to end up getting horny next time you cheat. I know it sounds crazy.